Lecture Ready, Strategies for Academic Listening, Note-Taking, and Discussion. Student Book 1 by Peg Saracey and Kathy Schirak. Published and copyright Oxford University Press.
Okay, well, welcome everyone to Psychology 210. Please take a seat. This is Psychology 210, Introduction to Social Psychology. I hope everyone is in the right room. Are you? Okay, good. Let me get started. For today, this afternoon, since this is our first day, I want to talk to you about this course. I'm going to give you some information about what we will study and how we will study it. So I want to talk briefly about the field of social psychology, and then I will give you more information about the course requirements. Everybody okay with this? Okay. First of all, in this course, we are going to look at people in social situations. So what does that mean? That means how people interact with other people. That's the simplest way to explain this course. And we're going to discuss some of the theory and the research that explains all of this. Okay. But before I go any further, let me make one point very clear. The main objective of this course is to help you to become more interested in the field of social psychology and to prepare you for more studies in this field. That is my hope. Okay? So I think by now, everyone has had a chance to have a look at the syllabus. Yeah? You saw it on my website, right? So I think that you get the picture that I'm going to expect a lot from you in this social psychology class. So I will go over the syllabus now, okay? First, let's talk about the readings. I'll assign new readings each class period, and the reading assignments are going to come from the textbook. You should complete the assigned readings by the date I give you. That's simple. You get the assignments, and then you do the reading. Now, the lectures. I'm going to give a lecture in each of my class, and during my lectures, I'm going to expand on the ideas that you read about in your textbooks. So, for example, I might explain something that you read about in the assignment, or I might give you another example that wasn't in the reading. Now, I want to point out, and this is pretty important, that my lectures will also include information that you won't see in the readings. That's right. My lectures will sometimes have new information. So guess what? You have to come to class. All right, the discussions. The discussions, class discussions, our discussions, are an important aspect of this course. During our discussions, I will welcome your questions and comments anytime you want to say something. Anytime. You should feel free to contribute your own ideas and your own opinions. But for this to work, you have to be willing to let the other students do the same. Meaning that we all listen to each other. All of us. That's the deal in here. Oh, and by the way, I just want to say, you don't have to agree with me. But whenever you do express your opinion, you do have to show me that you understand the ideas we're talking about in class. So what I'm saying is, these discussions should show how you think about ideas in the readings and the ideas you hear in the lectures and discussions, and also what you think about them. You get the picture? Now, what about your grade? I know you want to know this information. All right. Your grade consists mostly of quizzes and exams. For quizzes, you'll be able to use your lecture notes. So attending class and taking good notes is going to be the key to your success in this class. For exams, you will not be able to use your notes. So, no notes for exams. I'll explain about the class presentation and the two opinion papers later in the semester. We don't need to get into that right now. All right. You saw on the syllabus that attendance is also going to be a big component in this class. But let me talk about that right now. Attendance means you have to attend class regularly. But not just come to class. You have to participate in class discussions. So what I'm saying is your participation, whatever it is going to affect your grade. Okay? So far, so good? Now, I know this seems like a lot, but it's really pretty simple. My expectations are that you come to class, turn your work in when it's due, share your ideas, listen to others, and do the readings. And you will do fine in this class, no problem. Okay? All right. That's enough for our first day. I will see you next time, and we will discuss Chapter 1 in your textbooks. So there's your first reading assignment, Chapter 1. Okay?
And especially looking at how their behavior is affected by the place they live in. I'd like to continue this in today's lecture. Today I'd like to talk about a study that was done to measure the pace of life. The study compares different cities around the world and asks the question, how and why do different places in the world have different paces of life? As you probably know, pace tends to be part of how we describe the atmosphere of the place. If you've traveled a bit or read about life in different places, you know that the pace of life differs in different cultures and places, right? But why are some places faster than others? What exactly are the factors that make up the differences in pace of life? Before we discuss this question, I want to make sure that we all have the same idea about the meaning of pace of life. By pace of life, I mean the speed at which life is lived or business is carried out. Okay? Let me get that up for you. So what specific characteristics of places and cultures make them slow or fast? One social psychologist, a fellow named Robert Levine, a professor at California State University in Fresno, California, created a study that allowed researchers to analyze some data, some numbers, that could accurately define the pace of life of a place. He wanted to know the answer to this question. What makes a place have a slow or fast pace? Here's how he and his researchers went about it. They analyzed and compared 31 different cities around the world. They looked at 3 different factors. Let me put them up here so you can follow. Right? What is the average walking speed of the place. Now, to measure that, he randomly selected people, both men and women, and watched the speed at which they walked in crowded downtown areas. He watched them as they walked a distance of 60 feet, or about 20 meters. Second, he looked at speed in the workplace. Now, he did this in an interesting way. He went to post offices all around the world. Yes, that's right, post offices. And he measured how long it took a postal clerk to sell someone a stamp. They measured the time that passed between when a clerk received money and the customer received the stamp. They looked at how much time that took. Okay? Are you with me so far? Yeah? Okay. Now, the third thing he looked at was how interested a place was in keeping accurate time on clocks. So, the researchers went to 15 randomly chosen banks and looked at their clocks. Then they compared the time on these clocks to the time reported by the phone company. You know what I mean. When you call the phone company to learn the time of day from a recorded voice, that time is considered to be very accurate. So, the researchers looked at these factors during the workday in 31 different cities around the world to get a specific idea of pace. By looking at these factors, the researchers came up with a rating of overall pace of life, the overall sense of time urgency. Let's look at a few highlights from this survey. The survey, by the way, was conducted in the late 1990s, so there may be some changes from what we would find in the same countries today. Okay, in the fastest category, Switzerland is in first place with high ranking in all three areas. Their clock accuracy ranked first. Then comes Ireland and Germany, and Japan came in fourth. Really, these top four countries were all very similar. Let's look now at places where life is slow. The slowest countries were all non-industrialized countries, meaning there is not much industry, not many factories producing products. You can see here that they are from the Middle East, Syria, Asia, Indonesia, and Latin America, El Salvador, Brazil, and finally Mexico. So what are the common factors in the countries at the top and those at the bottom of the list? For these experiments and other studies, the researchers found 5 main factors that affect the pace of life in cultures around the world. Let's look at those. People tend to move faster in places with vital economies, lots of money changing hands, a high degree of industrialization, lots of companies, larger populations, many people, cooler climates, not the hot ones, and cultures that value individualism versus valuing the group. Interesting, don't you think? Unfortunately, we can't get into this discussion now. We'll talk about these details in the next class, all right?
Chapter 3, Practice Lecture. Introduction 1.
Good. Okay, today's a busy day, so let's go ahead and get started. Our topic today is software innovation. Software. So that could be new ideas in music software or game software, many kinds of software. This is a very hot topic. We're going to discuss a few examples of business software innovation. So that means banking software, spreadsheet software, that sort of thing. And if we have time, some of the new stock trading software.
Introduction 2.
Come on in, everyone. Take your seats. I wanted to get started as soon as possible. Okay, let's get back to our discussion of product innovation. What I want to talk about today is product innovation in the world of new cars. Sound okay? Good. I'm going to cover some of the basic developments in the history of car innovation, and then I'll cover some of the latest developments in European car innovation. So we'll travel to Germany and Italy today, too. Sound like fun? Okay, let's get started.
Introduction 3.
All right, as I said last time, when was last time? Oh, 1 week ago already? Wow. Okay, as I said last time, today we're going to discuss innovations in the food world. I think it's very useful to know how food companies get their ideas and then design their new products. So even if you have no interest in food, you're going to learn a lot about product innovation. So first, we'll look at a list of some of the top food companies in the country, and then we'll look at 2 companies that are doing some very interesting, innovative things with their packaging designs.
Chapter 3. Lecture.
All right, I think everyone is here, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's go back to our discussion of business innovation. And yesterday I was explaining that in business there are many types of innovation. So we said, remember, there's product innovation, there's innovation in business organization, of course there's marketing innovation, and there are other types of innovation. Okay? Well, today I want to talk about product innovation. So that means how businesses come up with ideas for new products. First, we'll talk about innovation in the 21st century in general. Then I'll tell you about some qualities that successful innovators share and give you 2 good examples. Okay? Now, in the past, businesses got a lot of their new ideas because something they did was a surprise or a mistake. So innovation was something they didn't plan. It was just luck. We all know that times have changed in the 21st century. It's not enough for companies to depend on luck to develop new products and compete successfully in global markets. In fact, the research shows us that the best companies make innovation a large part of their business. That means they spend a lot of their money on innovation. And that is exactly the opposite of waiting for luck to happen, right? Okay, let's step it up now. I want to point out one thing that these innovative companies have in common. One thing that they all have, and that is courage. Courage. What I'm saying is these companies aren't afraid to take risks. These companies are constantly trying new ideas. And even though they know that many of their ideas are going to fail, the business experts say that these companies make their own luck. They make their own luck. They are risk takers, to put it simply. So let's take a look at a couple of successful innovative companies, meaning companies that are creating new products and are doing well. Okay. A great example of this, a great example for us to talk about is Apple computers. Yeah. Apple computers. Okay. Apple is a computer company in California. A few years ago, they came up with the idea to make a totally new product, a digital music player that was small and easy to use. The iPod, right? You know it. Okay, now Steve Jobs, he's the CEO of Apple. Steve Jobs realized it wasn't enough to create a fun little machine for music. People still needed a reason to buy it. So he asked his company to think outside the box. He wanted his people to come up with a way for customers to use this little machine to get music out of their computers and the internet. And then they could listen to the music on their iPod everywhere they went. At home, school, at the gym, and so on. At the time, everybody said this was impossible. Impossible. Because nobody had ever done this before. Well, Apple got to work and solved all the technical and legal problems, and today the iPod earns over $1 billion a year for Apple. So again, it's that courage to take a risk and try something completely new. Now, let's move on, because there's a second important characteristic of today's innovative companies. And that is that they think about their product in a new way. Okay? And when they do this kind of thinking, they also invent a new market. And of course, that means, you got it, higher profits. Are you with me so far? Good? Okay. A great example of this is Starbucks. Starbucks. You guys know Starbucks, right? The coffee chain. 10,000 stores around the world. I just went to a Starbucks in Taiwan, as a matter of fact. Okay, a few years ago, Starbucks was looking for a way to get new customers, and they wanted a way to make customers stay in the store longer. And what else? Spend more money. That's when they started thinking outside of the box. They realized that their stores could be more than a place where people buy a cup of coffee. They thought about what people do in their free time, and they realized that people spend a lot of time on the internet. Everybody knows that. So Starbucks thought people might like to do it outside of their house, where they could maybe meet new people. So they started to provide wireless internet service, the internet in their coffee shops, right? They even have some Starbucks where you can download music to your computer. Now, I've got to point out that Starbucks can't say for sure that their profits went up after this change. But they did find out that customers who use the internet at Starbucks stay in the store 9 times longer than customers who just drink coffee there. So probably, they spend more money at Starbucks too. Well, it's an example of how a totally new idea can change a business. In this case, they thought of a product in a new, and some people say, a strange way. A way no one had ever thought about. Well, I see we've run out of time, so let's pick up tomorrow.
Chapter 4, Practice Lecture. Introduction 1.
Yes, it's definitely time to start. The clock is ticking and there's a lot of material to cover. Let me remind you, we have a test next Thursday, okay? All right. Now, our topic today is a case study of Levi's. Did everyone get that? Levi's, the international brand of blue jeans, and of course, other casual clothes. But everyone knows Levi's for their jeans. All right, today, Today I'm going to look at several ways that Levi's has expanded globally. In fact, you may not know that the Levi's brand is on the list of the top 100 global brands.
Introduction 2.
Good evening. Yes, look at the clock. It's 6 o'clock. Thank you for being on time. How is everyone? Excellent. Let's go ahead and begin. We're going to discuss the qualities of successful international brands of food today. Now, I'm talking about this because in this day and age, we're seeing a huge increase in the number of food products available to buy, like sweets, snacks, and let's include beverages too, that move in and out of a lot of countries. So, what I want to do today is compare the business plan of Hershey's chocolate to the business plan of Lindt chocolate. Lindt is a chocolate company from Switzerland, and Hershey's is an American chocolate company. So, two chocolate manufacturers, two chocolate companies.
Okay, we've been discussing some of the factors related to successful international business. Today, I'd like to talk about a topic that I think you already know something about. Believe it or not, it's MTV. That's right, MTV, maybe your favorite TV channel. MTV. So, MTV, the giant music TV network. MTV is a great case study because it shows us, gives us a good idea of how one company can do business all around the world with incredible success. So what I want to do is discuss the reasons for the gigantic success of MTV. Are we good to go? Okay. So first of all, let's look at some of the statistics for MTV before we go on to analyze their business plan. Okay? Okay. First of all, MTV has been around for 25 years or so. It reaches more than 1 billion people around the world. You heard me right. More than 1 billion people watch MTV. Most of these viewers are young people between the ages of 10 and 34 who watch the music videos and other programs that are created for a young audience. So in other words, MTV is already the most popular television network in the world. In the world! Pretty amazing stuff. So now, I'm hoping that you're wondering what their business plan is for the near future. What more could MTV want? Huh? Well, their business plan is to expand their network, are you ready, until MTV exists everywhere in the world. Until every person in the world has the ability to watch MTV. It's already in lots of countries, but not in all. They want to be in all. So let's do some statistics. Let's talk about profits. Here we go. In 2005, MTV brought in $5.2 billion. That's $5.2 billion from all around the world. Let me break that down for you, okay? MTV is an American company, right? In the United States, MTV reaches about 88 million homes. But outside the United States, MTV is in more than 331 million homes. And that's in 164 countries. And you can watch it in 18 different languages. Okay, here's another way to say it. MTV is number 48 on the list of the top 100 brands in the world. Got the picture? They're big, big in the whole world. Very successful, right? So you might be wondering, what makes MTV so successful? I hope you're wondering. All right, so let's analyze the factors that have led to MTV's success. Okay, probably the main reason for MTV's success around the world is also maybe the most interesting one. You might expect to find MTV plays the same music videos and the same shows all over the world. But they don't. Nope. They play the music that is popular in each country. And not just each continent. So not African rock music or European rock music, but they play the rock music of Italy in Italy and the rock music of Kenya in Kenya. So what I'm saying is, they play the local popular music. They show videos of local people playing local music. And along the same lines, they produce programs that focus on the people of the culture of the country that they're in. So what I'm saying is, MTV in India looks like India. In Japan, Japanese MTV looks like Japan. MTV may be huge, international company, but it looks local. All right, so now we have to ask, how does MTV do this? How do they find the local talent? Well, the answer is they hire staff in each country. That means people who speak the country's language and know about the local musical performers. And they create local programs that show these performers. In fact, I learned that the rule at MTV is that 70% of the programs must show local performers. So local, 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 that's the story. So we can see that MTV really created a smart business plan. And what's the result? MTV's global market is growing 20% each year. 20% each year. I just read that they want to increase this to 40%. They have a plan, and for now, it's working. They're at the top of their game. All right, next time, we'll look again at MTV's success and see how we could apply these ideas, all the stuff we said today about this one company, to other kinds of international businesses. Okay? Bye-bye.
And celebrities, and then the idea of how our brains feel pleasure when we see celebrities. Okay, let me start with a discussion of beauty. It's an easy idea. Celebrities are beautiful, right? Well, research now tells us that when a person sees a celebrity, a part of the brain that's related to pleasure, well, that part of the brain gets excited. Scientists say humans have always had this brain reaction, and this is interesting because our ideas of what is beautiful always change, but in any case, the brain connects beauty to pleasure. Next, let's talk about another thing that happens in the brain. Biologists say that when people see celebrities over and over again, so when we see a famous actor on television, in the movies and in magazines, for example, the brain actually feels pleasure from seeing something it has seen before. So it seems the brain feels pleasure from repeated meetings with the same face or body. Now that we've talked about the brain's reaction, let's talk about how this relates to the past and today. So, the past. Scientists say that before TV and movies and photos, the human brain felt pleasure from seeing friends and family. Those were the people we saw again and again, and those were the experiences that gave the brain pleasure. Now, We have media images, photos, video, movies, and the brain has changed. It's changed, and it feels pleasure from seeing the faces of celebrities, of people we don't know and will never know.
Chapter 5, Lecture.
Good morning, everybody. It's good to see you all here this morning. Yesterday, we talked about news coverage and its effects on people. Today, this morning, I want to talk about another kind of coverage, and that's the coverage of celebrities in the mass media. Celebrities, movie stars, rock stars, and people like that in the media. The reason for this topic is, and I'm pretty sure you all know this, the amount of celebrity coverage has been increasing tremendously. Okay, everybody knows this has been happening. And it's not just celebrity news sources. Today, it's not unusual to see news about movie stars or television stars on the front pages of regular newspapers. Yeah, newspapers. I'd like to show you some research that actually shows how much celebrity news coverage there is. So take a look at this graph. It's got some pretty significant results. Okay, so here you see the researchers analyzed American news magazines. So that means they looked at serious magazines that have articles about government, the economy, crime, things like that. The tall columns show the percentages of real news, government, the economy, and so on. And the short red column shows the percentage of articles about celebrities. You can see that in the last 25 years or so, real news coverage has gone down about 10%. And that celebrity news has doubled, meaning there's twice as much celebrity news now as there was in 1980. That's big news. Experts who study the media say that there is so much coverage of entertainment news, like when a rock star gets married or divorced, or when an actress has a baby. So much of this in the newspaper and magazines and on television that there is less and less time and space for real news, like news about events in the world. Now, we have to ask ourselves, why did this change happen? Why is there so much interest in celebrities today? Well, let's move on now to discuss that. Let's look at one of the major reasons of the increase in media coverage of celebrities. In a nutshell, celebrities sell. Back in the 1980s, newspapers were starting to lose money. More people were getting the news somewhere else, not from newspapers. So newspapers began to print more news about celebrities and fewer articles with real news. Why? Because celebrity news sells. It's all about increasing their profits.